When you visit a state as big and diverse as Texas, there are a million different trips you can take. Let's say you've got an appetite for whitewater kayaking. You can get your own, so this is why they call it Devil's River, trip to Texas. Or maybe you have an actual appetite. I'll take a pound of brisket, 6 ribs, 3 links of sausage, and a piece of pecan pie. Trip to Texas. Go to traveltexas.com/get your own for the only trip to Texas that matters. Yours.
What do 8 bags of concrete mix, a cooler full of 30-pound sea bass, and a 10-inch compound miter saw have in common? They're all things that are easier to load in and out of the bed of the new F-150. Thanks to its new available Pro Access tailgate that's also a swing gate. The new 2024 Ford F-150. Tough this smart can only be called F-150.
Available starting early 2024. Pro Access tailgate available starting spring 2024. Cargo and load capacity limited by weight and weight distribution.
McDonald's made the burger icon, the Big Mac, even more iconic. More Mac sauce, perfectly melted cheese, onions added at the grill. So good your boy's already on the hunt. Rubble, rubble. Yup, it's Hamburglar good. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Available at most restaurants in this area.
Why take one vacation with the family when you could take all of them? With Royal Caribbean, you don't just go to the beach. You visit a private island and race down the tallest water slide in North America. You don't just go for a road trip. You ATV and zip line through the jungle. You don't just go somewhere new. You rappel down waterfalls and discover ancient temples. Because this isn't just any vacation. This is all the vacations. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
All right, I'm gonna go to Barcelona for 2 weeks, and then I'm gonna do south of Spain. I had this amazing plan. I got this place. It was great. It was a bed and breakfast. I can come and go. That was gonna be my home base, and I was gonna do the coast of Spain. And of course, I missed my flight, and I went to the wrong terminal. It was a little interesting. I'm going to take this away from my dog. It was a little interesting, and they were like, we can fly you out tomorrow. I was like, what part of I'm not going back home do you not understand?
Welcome to Travel Tuesday Happy Hour, where we interview dope people doing dope things from around the world. And we're at season 4, Voyage 22. Voyage 22 is a very near and dear event to my heart. This is when I became part of my better half, right? I am now married to the beautiful Jacqueline Jackson, now Jacqueline Benjamin. And this season, we will be talking to friends and family that attended. We're going to try to do our best to capture the moments, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So with that said, stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, click that notification button so you guys know when next episodes drop. And as you guys see, I have an amazing friend here who I've known for over 20 years, just about 20 years, right? Tell them who you are and what you do.
Hi, my name is Florcy Morrison. My friends in the crypto world calls me Crypto Flossing. I work in the Web3 and NFT space.
Okay, Web3, NFT, Crypto Flossing. I'm in IT and some of this stuff feels so overwhelming to understand. So let's kind of talk about it a little bit, right? Okay. And then we can go. So Web3, tell me, what is Web3?
So Web3 is the third iteration of the internet. Mm-hmm. Web 1 was when it began back in the early 80s. It was more reading information. It began with chat features. Then it became more robust and became the second version of the internet is when you were able to do e-commerce, websites, and actually share information, content creators, you think of social media. Web3, which we're not technically there yet, is actually a more immersive experience. This is where you'll be able to own your data. So not only can you read data, you can write data, but you can own and monetize it. And so right now, the biggest critique is that big corporations own our data, third parties own our data, and they're monetizing it. In this new ideal world, we'll be able to own it and monetize it ourselves. I think we're right now at 2.5.
Okay, crypto flossing. Now, I mean, you was flossing on us before you went and came in. So y'all got to understand a little backstory. This wonderful woman right here went from, like owning and curating a a art gallery for 7 years. I mean, it's still going, but like brick and mortar for about 7 years she decided to have an epiphany and go into IT through business school, right?
Yeah.
So you talk about Web3 and then your tag is now crypto flossing.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about that and your journey into like the crypto world.
Yeah. So it's interesting. You talk about, I was a business owner and I actually was slightly disrupted by Web 2. I started as an art gallery owner. I ran my business for 7 years. Across that 7 years, and to date, I've sold $1 million worth of arts and services. So just something very, humble and honored to be able to do that. But I couldn't see how I was going to scale the business. And that made me nervous. And a lot of businesses as a brick and mortar, were going online.
Right.
So I decided to go to business school. I said, I'm going to go learn the business side of the arts. I'm going to learn technology a little bit, and I'm going to build it back into the business. I'm going to go work in the arts industry and think about how to make them technologically advanced, how to make them fiscally sustainable. I mean, grand ideas. And then I realized how much an MBA costs.
Gotta get that money back.
Yeah. And then I decided to flip it on its head. And instead of, really bringing the tech and the business into the arts, I brought my creativity in terms of problem solving back into the tech sector. And I wanted to embrace the thing that was somewhat disrupting me.
Right.
And so it was an amazing opportunity. I did that. I went to Johns Hopkins. I actually got a dual master's from Johns Hopkins and Maryland Institute of College of Art. My second master's is in design thinking, and it's using design principles to solve really complicated problems. From there, I actually had an opportunity to go to Dell Technologies, where I worked there for 4 years. I did strategic initiatives in our services business, and then I led a team of software support engineers. Company goes boom, my team goes in and gets them back up and running.
Oh, nice. So now you go from Dell to Netflix to starting your own NFT, right? Like, how did, like, what was that approach like? Hey, we're gonna start this social impact NFT thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, my friends come asking, I'm like, hey, how much, where do I pay? And it was a little complicated, but we made it work.
Anything worth it is complicated.
There you go.
So as Peuge is alluding to, I am the co-founder of an NFT project, Spooky Fresh. It is a social impact NFT. And what's so exciting about it is what we wanted to do with it. When we talk about NFTs right now, you hear about the JPEGs, but what NFTs really are is an opportunity to really think about what are the problems that we want to solve. It has a lot of technology in it. And part of that technology is in being able to pay people residual income. And so specifically the royalties of that. And so we were thinking about how can we use this as a social impact tool to support nonprofit organizations. Additionally, within our platform, we wanted to create a co-creation to include artists. We had a really grand visions and it was really exciting. We've launched it on Polygon. I'm so grateful to my friend because when we launched it on October 31st. And if anyone goes back and look at the calendar, Polygon ended up rallying and doubling in value. So $150 NFT ended up becoming $300. Yes. And so the folks that, decided to support us, we were really, really grateful. And we have, sold 70% of the collection to date. So we're honored about that. Interestingly, right now we're in a bear market and the market is changing and it's called winter bear market.
So
my dog.
Before we continue, we got the amazing Bo in the background seeking some attention. So, he's out there playing with his toy and, having fun. So if you guys hear that rattling behind, it's Bo. He might show up on the show sometime soon, but, we'll see.
Thank you for that. So I'm not sure where I left off.
Cryptocurrency, and stuff like that. The bear market.
So we're in a bear and winter market. And so this is a time where, folks really take a moment to evolve and think about what their project's going to look like. What are the next steps? What innovations do they want to build back into their project? And so Spooky Fresh is in that phase there. We're figuring out what does iteration point 2 look like, And so that's on the sideline, but I knew that I wanted to really target my audience, a key audience, which were women and diverse audiences and creatives. And so I kind of set out to do more work in the Web3 space in terms of really focusing on educating folks. I'm actually humbled. I'll be releasing a book, an ebook about NFTs in the Web3 space, actually in a couple of weeks. Okay. And so I'm excited about that. And the whole goal of that is to really show people to do three things. One, demystify NFTs. Two, think about how to create your own project if that's what you want to do. And then three, if you're a business or entrepreneur, a big brand, small brand, how do you integrate the technology of NFTs into your company and your business model?
Okay, awesome. So, and you know, as part of your rollout for Spooky Fresh and getting the word out for Spooky Fresh, you did a lot of traveling, right? So, just to tie it back into, you know, what really kind of kicked off travel for you?
Oh, wow. So traveling is something that I've always loved. You know, it's interesting. My mom came to the United States with me when she was pregnant with me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I think my travel bug started then. It's like embedded in my DNA, which is super dope. But I remember my mom, we would take trips to Canada. That's where my aunt lived and a lot of her siblings and my family. And I remember I was in charge of the map. And mind you, this was in the 80s, mid 80s, there was no
GPS.
There was no GPS. I don't even think the internet didn't exist. So there were not even, how might you say, you know, Google Jeeves or MapQuest. That didn't exist. So it was literally the maps, the directions. Maybe there was something written out on scratch paper. And I would say, yeah, mommy, this is the exit. And so I then have done that like 2 or 3 times. I was in charge of directions. So that was like my first trip. And what I enjoyed about that was, you know, Canada and Montreal specifically, where we went, was a francophone country. And so they spoke only French. They spoke French and English, but mainly French. I got the experience of, traveling, you get to get different food. I mean, this was like 5, 6, 7 years old. Right. I'm experiencing different food. My aunt made the most amazing patties, Haitian patties, that is. And, you know, it was just a different culture. It was super cold in Montreal. And so I at that age, I got that experience and I was like, oh, this is exciting. This is fun. And so that was my early experience.
So that was your experience as a youth. Now you're an adult, right? And you decided, you know what? I'm tired of traveling with my mom. I'm tired of traveling with auntie. What was the first adult trip that you took yourself on?
So there were a couple of adult trips. The one that I think that cements my passion was actually my 30th birthday. I went to Europe. I wanted to celebrate Dirty 30? And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go to Barcelona for 2 weeks. And then I'm going to do south of Spain. I had this amazing plan. I got this place. It was great. It was a bed and breakfast. I can come and go. That was going to be my home base. And I was going to do the coast of Spain. And of course, I missed my flight. And I went to the wrong terminal. It was a little interesting. I'm going to take this away from my dog. It was a little interesting. And they were like, we can fly you out tomorrow. I was like, what part of I'm not going back home do you not understand? Like, I just was like, I'm not going back home. Send me anywhere to Europe. She lists out 5 cities. She said, you can go to Lisbon, London, Ireland, Germany, and some other city. It was like 5 cities. And I said, London. I should have said Lisbon because that was the closest to Spain. Another story, I digress. But I landed in London and I was there for 2 days, did not understand the currency. Pounds was really expensive back in the day. And I ended up being there for about 2 days and then calling my mom like, yeah, mom, I need you to wire me some more money. But then what I did was I did a trip. I did London, Paris. From Paris, I went to Barcelona, and I spent my last week in Barcelona, and I did just a couple days each place. It was amazing because it was a solo trip. In addition to being a solo trip, I got to decide how I was going to navigate this problem. I got to decide what I was going to do, curate my experience, because I had intentionally planned on going to, Barcelona. And so I didn't know what I was going to do. This was my first time in London, first time in Paris. And I had some really epic experiences. I learned a little bit. I understood what it meant to be able to travel and experience different culture as an adult.
Okay. And so a lot of people tend to have like that one reason why they continue to travel. Like, what's the thing that drives you to travel? Because I mean, you travel for work, you travel for leisure. And, when we talk about work, now 2 different experiences, right? Because you used to travel to buy art around the world. Yeah. Now you're traveling to promote, NFT and cryptocurrency. Like, what drives you to travel outside of like the desire to capitalize on the event?
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of things. I've always said that I believe that, art, music, and traveling are the portals to culture. Meaning that's the way that the medium and the channels to experience different cultures. And so for me, traveling, I'm always humbled because I get to see how grand the world is and how different. And Morocco, we'll get to that story a little bit, was one of those testimonies, because it was just like, it was like a page out of, a book, a travel book. Right. And so for me, I've been to Paris, a dozen times. And there's been stories of Harlem Renaissance, and you think about, Black people and Ruby Dee and all these these amazing, famous Black creatives that descended on that country and that city, and was embraced and loved, and they were able to thrive. My experience in Paris, I'll never forget my first experience, because it was just I felt like I was walking the path that these creatives walk through. And so when I go to these different countries, I'm really wanting to get close to the people. I want to taste the food. I want to understand how they worship their gods there. I want to look at the architecture. I don't have a favorite city. I have favorite cities. I don't know where I want to live when I retire, because I haven't seen the rest of the world. Right. But I know that there's just so much more to what the U.S. is. And as an immigrant, and understanding that the U.S. is a fabric of what the world has to offer, I want to go experience the rawness and authenticity of what is outside of here.
Okay. So you mentioned going to Paris over a dozen times. What is it about Paris that continues to have you coming back?
Oh my gosh. So Paris is my favorite city in the world. Okay. I'll tell you a story. Hopefully I can tell you a story of my first experience. So I told you I ended up having to call my mom, phone a friend. So I had to call my mom. But I had left London. I took a late night train from London, because I wanted to go through the tunnels to Paris. And it was late, and I arrived in London at 11 o'clock. First time traveling outside of the country, more so to Europe. One, by myself. And what I didn't realize, one big mistake, was currency. I had intentions of going just to Madrid. So I already had Spaniard money, because they said if you get it from your bank, you can get the exchange cheaper. I had paid for everything up front.
You're good.
Okay, sorry. My dog is doing the most right now. So, sorry, guys.
It's all
right. What did I say? I had paid for everything up front. So I was ready for my trip. But what I wasn't ready for was to go spend extra money in London and spend more days there. Because I thought I was just going to get a connecting flight. Get a connecting flight, and just keep going. But no, I decided I wanted to experience a couple of days in each city. So nonetheless, I get to Paris. I have pounds. I have a tapped out credit card. And mind you, I was 30. So I was a young professional running an art gallery, trying to figure life out. And I had US dollar and I had the Spaniard money. I had no euros. And so I had to go to dinner that night. I was starving. And I remember going to one restaurant and saying, hey, I'm not sure if my credit card's going to go through. Can you try to, swipe my credit card for the meal before you start cooking it? And they were like, no. Then I went to another restaurant, and it was like this cabaret restaurant. The guy was super nice. He was like, yeah, absolutely. Don't worry about it, actually. Just come pay me tomorrow. Because I showed him, my pounds, and he saw that I had money. And so he said, don't worry about it. Come pay me tomorrow. So I eat the most amazing chicken. Roasted chicken. And I think I don't know why it was so amazing. Maybe because I had heard no. Or maybe I knew I was kind of eating in this generous environment, but it was the best chicken that I have ever had. And then I had a glass of wine. It was just an amazing meal. There was music that was happening downstairs. And at that time I decided okay, I want one more glass of wine before I leave. And I asked the restaurant, can I have one more glass? And he brings the bottle to me. He's like, please enjoy yourself. Wow. And I just felt like, wow, to be embraced, woman of color, don't have any money, like euros to pay. And they're like, come tomorrow. And so I ended up going downstairs, listening to music. And I just felt like my meal was maybe $25. I had $100 bill. I was like, this experience was so above and beyond. Hey, keep it. He was like, no, we cannot do that. And so he went and changed it and converted it, bought me some euros back. And it was just, I just couldn't envision where else that could have happened.
Gotcha.
Where they could have just said, in a fine dining restaurant, sit, eat. Don't worry about it. Come back tomorrow. I just couldn't imagine where that as a young person, and I think we hear a lot of stereotypical things about Paris as rude and mean, and you being Black in America, you go through some certain pressures. That was such a unique experience for me. And so to be able to have that experience, it just set something in my heart. And then I just hearing the language. And so beyond that experience, the next few days, I would go visit some of the most iconic places, the palace, the cathedral, and just to see the international audience. I'd have cafe and teas and, biscuits. And it was just a beautiful, serene experience. So, my biggest second highlight, I had two really highlight other trips outside of my first experience, was me taking my mom. And to take a Haitian parent to Paris is
everything.
It's everything.
Listen, I took my mom for her 60th, so I know.
Yeah. I cemented as the best daughter in the world for the rest of her life. And then the third was I went there for New Year's Eve with an ex-boyfriend of mine. And it was just beautiful. So those are my top three out of the half a dozen. Sometimes I'll take a connecting flight. Sometimes if I'm going to another city or, Germany or something like that, I'll do 2 days there, go have some great food, some shopping, and then go on my way.
You just finagle Paris in your European trips.
That's how you get 12. That's how you get 12 trips.
Got you.
That's a hack. That's a travel hack.
There you go. Travel hacks. So from there, we talk about, you're a very world travel person. Do you still even have a bucket list?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So what's the top maybe 3 on your bucket list right now?
So there's cities and countries and continents.
Okay.
I haven't been to Asia yet, and I definitely want to explore more of Africa. Okay. And so in Asia, I want to go to Japan, China, and Bali. Every year, I put 3 countries or cities that I'd like to go visit on my mirror. And this year, I had Africa. So I was like, because part of traveling is to be able to travel with friends. Right. And so I wanted, if anyone says, I'm going to this country, do you want to go? No matter what country it is, I'm going. Gotcha. Because I've only been to 2 now. And so that was one of 2. And so that's one of them. And then the second is Bali. I guess I said that. And then I got to go see Hawaii last year, which was a huge one. Nice. I want to go to Asia is the next one.
Okay, nice.
Not Asia, I'm sorry. Alaska.
Okay.
I want to go to Alaska while I'm out here.
All right. So you still got some decent spots, and I was able to kind of help bring one of them to reality, right? And so speaking of bringing one of them to reality, So Voyage 22 is kind of like our wedding trip, right?
Yes.
And the reason it's called Voyage 22 is both our birthdays on the 22nd, and by the time we got married, we visited 22 cities together, right?
That's a great caveat. Cities versus countries.
Yes, cities. I don't think we would have hit 20 in the 2 years. So, but when you heard about it, because, the backstory is she wanted to just surprise everybody that, hey, come on this trip, let's have fun. And I was like, I don't think everybody's going to fall for that. So let's switch it up and actually tell people the truth, right?
Yeah.
So when...
Good idea.
So when you heard about the trip, like, what were your thoughts?
Oh, I was like, I'm there. Absolutely. Yes, Fred. Yes. I was like, I'm there. One, because it was your wedding, which was a special occasion, and I needed to be there. We've known each other for over 20 years. Sorry, Bo.
No, he's blaming me for you leaving him at the doggy daycare.
I know. I had to, that's one of the hardest parts about traveling is having a dog, because you have to find a babysitter for him. And it's like the cost of a human being. So it's like $70 a day. So it can get expensive.
But so Bo brings up a good point. So what I want you to do is finish elaborate on that part, but like the setup, right? Like leading to you being able to travel, and as well as when you got there, what was your experience like?
Oh, okay. So wait. So let me go answer the first question.
Gotcha.
Your first question was around, what was my response and why? And so, yes, it was you. Very special day, but I also think it was Morocco. I had never been, and I had to reach out to my sorority sister, my chapter sister Cecilia, and said, "Do you want to go experience this with me?" And she was already invited to the wedding, so it was just like absolute yes.
Gotcha.
So my traveling, getting there, it was tough because it was at the time where you gave us a year notice, which is early. But I'm still an entrepreneur, bootstrapping, my startup. And I was just like, oh, I got to wait to book this. I'm there. I looked at the trip and I realized that I couldn't book the trip immediately and that I needed to kind of wait and kind of do some other things. And so, I've always broke down the trip in terms of booking it. Hey, let me do the flight first. Then let me get the hotel. And after the hotel, I'll get the activities and things of that nature. But I looked at the price of what your travel agent, I was like, oh, it's a little bit more. I probably can't, I don't want to do the monthly payments. I just want to just knock things out. So I curated my own trip and that was my way of kind of getting around it.
Okay. And so now that you got everything booked, it's time to make it to Morocco.
Sheesh. So you remember in the beginning, he said the good, the bad, and ugly. So this was the bad and the ugly. So, I got an amazing trip. So part of what ended up happening, which messed us up a little bit, was the original trip I had booked was a connecting flight through Germany. And our flights, because we were in COVID and pandemic time, was canceled and I had to rebook it. And so when I rebooked it, we decided to extend the trip and there was some other cities that we had to go through. So my trip got canceled. So that was like a premise of like what was to come. That would be it. And like just starting off, rocky from that perspective. The second aspect was once I got there, my flight, I was so excited. It was a 4:00 flight in the afternoon. It was going to be about 24-hour trip. I was like, I'm ready for this. I got this. I was dressed comfortable, ready to nap, had my blankie. And to get on the plane, it was delayed. It was delayed about 3 to 4 hours. We could finally get on the plane. And then there's a part that was broken. And I'm like, oh no. And mind you, I scored a middle row in the plane because it's 3 rows and had 4 seats and it was empty. So I was ready to go to bed and sleep the whole way there. And
when it comes to family vacations, there are a million different trips you can take. You can get your own trip to Texas. Or if you prefer a vacation from your family, you can always get your own leave the kids with grandma trip to Texas. So go to traveltexas.com/get your own for the only trip to Texas that matters. Yours.
What do 8 bags of concrete mix, a cooler full of 30-pound sea bass, and a 10-inch compound miter saw have in common? They're all things that are easier to load in and out of the bed of the new F-150. Thanks to its new available Pro Access tailgate that's also a swing gate. The new 2024 Ford F-150. Tough this smart can only be called F-150.
Available starting early 2024. Pro Access tailgate available starting spring 2024. Cargo and load capacity limited by weight and weight distribution.
If you went on a road trip and you didn't stop for a Big Mac or drop a crispy fry between the car seats or use your McDonald's bag as a placemat, then that wasn't a road trip. It was just a really long drive. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's.
Unfortunately, yeah, the plane never left. We never made it. And so my flight ended up being canceled. It was Iberia was the plane, and I don't want to say anything bad. They say if you have nothing good to say, don't say anything at all. So, but they had someone else managing boarding the trip, and so there was no one to answer questions. You would call the 1-800 number; they couldn't answer the questions. So I was just fearful that I wasn't going to make it. And then the next flight from Iberia was 2 days later.
Oh wow!
I was really, really nervous. I said, "Let me buy a backup ticket." So I bought a new ticket. Just to guarantee that I would get there. That was a 30-hour trip. I fly to Dallas, fine, I'm there, laid over. Eventually, they did rebook us on Iberia, but I had left the city already because I said I just wanted to start making my way east. And then I get to Spain, and I'm like excited. I'm on American Airlines. If anyone hasn't flown American Airlines, that is the airline to fly. That is the company that you support. What was interesting about that, someone comes on and said there are 2 people that are on the flight that need to catch their connecting flight, because we were a little bit delayed. I hear my name. I was like, oh my God, how so special. So I get off the plane. There's an attendant. She's walking with me. She says, your flight is about to start boarding. Please come with me. So they're taking me, ushering me on. She tells me, go this way, keep going. I'm calling them to let them know that you're on your way. I get there and she asked me, oh, please, your COVID test. I said, no, I'm vaccinated. She said, no, you need a COVID test to fly into Morocco. I said, no, I'm vaccinated. And I was just found out that I could not get on that plane because I didn't have my COVID test. And I saw it in the chat.
Listen, she's going to answer it. Please, folks, when you're in a group chat, group travel, group anything, we usually send out a list of things that you need to do. Don't skip them. Just don't skip them.
Yeah, I didn't understand. I thought it was people that were not vaccinated. And that, I think, is the layers of traveling during COVID. Every country has a different rule because I had gone to Jamaica. I had gone to Hawaii. And those places they were very strict on having a COVID vaccination. Okay, and so it was just a miscommunication. But nonetheless, I did not make that flight. I had to go quickly, get a test. And if I had made if my flight was on time, I would have made the flight. But it only took like 30 minutes to get done. But because, I was bumping up at time, it didn't happen. But So I finally get on there. I squeezed in a day trip in Madrid because it was like early, 10 o'clock, 11. And they said, we can fly you out to 7. So I was like, okay, you know what I'm going to do because I'm the master of squeezing in day trips. So I decided to go to into the city and I just walked around and got to see what the weather was like. Got to go have a meal, some tapas, and then come back. But what was cool about American Airlines is they gave me 2 vouchers, lunch and dinner. In addition to that, they gave me a hotel room because I said, I need to go shower. I've been already traveling 2 days. This turned into like a 36-hour trip at like 3 days of traveling. I said, I need to go shower. And that evening was the dinner, the welcome reception party. Right. And I just didn't want to have to go to the hotel, double back. I just I'm going to miss everything. So I finally, I get to the hotel, I shower, I get on the plane. I think I had done my makeup, but I just left my dress was the last thing that I would have to put on. I didn't have all my big luggage. I just had whatever my carry-on bags were. So I do that. get on a plane. My driver was ready. He was at the gate. They told us, I did read one part, it was going to be Ramadan. And they said, if you wanted alcohol, you should get it at the duty free. I did that.
She got the alcohol.
I got the alcohol.
Shout out to the alcohol.
And so I did that. So that was part of kind of getting there and with that experience. And what's a little bit of magical is every time I go to Africa, this was the second time, and I've gone to Haiti, there's always a spiritual feeling of feeling at home. And you land and you just feel like your ancestors are saying, welcome home, my child.
Oh, nice, nice.
And so that I felt it, and I already knew what type of trip it is. And so all the hustle and bustle of getting there just melted away. And it was just like, I'm going with the flow. I'm here. I'm here to experience an amazing ceremony, but, I'm to the land and the community and the people. And so that was really exciting. So that was kind of getting there, landing, getting that bit of experience. It was amazing.
Oh, yeah. And when I say like, we were getting like, hey, I'm on my way texts. And, I was just like, look, just get here safely. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
And so she got there just in time to eat dinner.
Yeah.
So one of the things that the hotel did for us was this long 52-person table drenched in flowers and candles and stuff like that. You were able to make it to that part of the dinner. It's a part of the dinner, right?
Yeah.
Like, what were your thoughts when you saw the table and saw like the flow of people, just everybody having a good time and talking?
Wow. So to see all of that melanin and to see it at the nightlight and the table decored, hopefully you guys have seen pictures already. If you're not, follow the page to see where the pictures are. But it was like Arabian Nights and royalty. Because everyone, the theme was Arabian, and, I guess I forget what she called it, but it was beautiful. They gave us a bit of guidance on what to wear. And it was just golds and glitters, and we were all beautifully adorned. The space was it was beautiful. It was vines and just a long table. It just felt like we were all royalty that night. And the food was amazing. The music was amazing. It was breathtaking, and definitely one of the highlights of my entire 2 weeks there, because I just never had experienced something like that. To craft and coordinate something like that, I just couldn't imagine.
Oh, yeah. And listen, if you're a real one, you follow the dress code of your friend's wedding. It's their day.
Yeah.
Let them coordinate that. Because you'll have people coming in some random colors. And you might get cussed out.
Yeah.
But so we went from the dinner to kind of like the reception for the dinner inside of. So if we haven't already said it, we were at the Janan Tamsna Hotel in Marrakesh, Morocco, owned by the amazing Marianne. And she opened up her house for us to have our reception. Yeah. Right. Oh. And I mean, tell the people, because I can't tell it in the way you would be able to tell.
Okay. So, Marianne's home. Sorry, Bo. It is not your time. Come here. So the way that Marianne's home is, as someone that's into the arts, it was a page out of any royalty magazine that you could have imagined. She had beautiful art. She had places for people to just sit and talk. She had this immersive. Wow.
Yeah, Bo got his homies in the neighborhood. They got
to say hello to each other. I'm so sorry, everyone. He's using that this chatty. We thought we'd get away with this, but I apologize for him. But I think you've seen him. He's cute. He looked cute, but he always act cute. So her home was just beautiful. It was just beautifully decored. It was open. You could sit. It had this immersive living room. But everywhere you went was curated in architecture with beautiful art, and that told a story. And again, I felt like I was taking a step back into the day and just kind of walking and watching a story being told live.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was an amazing party. And the reception was in her home, but there was live music, there was a DJ, there was a dessert bar, there were cocktails flowing, music. And then the part of her home, she has this open air corridor.
It's like a foyer,
and it's huge, but it's all open air, so you get to see the stars and the constellations beaming down, and we're dancing the night away, and we're listening to 90s hip hop music. It was just so dope. It was a dope evening.
Yeah, I mean, they had a Lost Boys, reunion type of scenario where they all jumped in and was like,
Queens girls in the house,
Queens girls was holding it down. So the night is over, and get everybody to where the ceremony is.
Bo,
come
here.
We're gonna have Bo on the show real quick.
Come here.
Come show him some love, Bo.
Come here.
But so we have our 90s evening, and then we have people show up the next day for the ceremony. What did you think about that day? Like how things started and then where it ended up getting to?
So this hotel resort Epic Center was gorgeous. I mean, you guys did such a amazing job selecting the venue. I believe she's one of the only Black-owned
women hotels.
Yeah. Oh my God, my dog. So yeah, it was just beautifully decored. We come in, we're set to be there at time, but when we get there, it's like a mini reception that's happening. So you're offered water, juices, and things of that nature, and then you're escorted to where the wedding is going to be happening. And it's just beautiful because there's these carousels of flowers and trussels, and you're walking and you get to the space, and just beautifully chairs. Everyone has a perfect view. The backdrop of these beautiful yellow cabana rooms. And so people are taking pictures, and, we're getting our pictures in early. And so we're taking our pictures and just having a great moment of just fellowship. And it was Saturday morning, which was dope. It was like, 1:00. So it was early, but it just felt it felt like it was very magical. Something magical was going to happen, and it looked magical. It looked like we were in paradise.
Nice.
It felt that way. And so that was like the beginning.
So we did have the option of grabbing everybody's phones because we wanted people to be in the moment and not like distracted. So that's why a lot of people aren't seeing photos of the actual ceremony unless posted by me and Jackie, right? As far as the ceremony goes, so we had an amazing officiator, Janae. She came out and did her thing. Like, what did you think about the ceremony? Outside of, something being in my eye, and my eye was watering a couple times.
Oh, my gosh. Everyone had things in their eyes. I don't know what happened, but there was this irritant that just caused your eye to water. But so I will say, before I even jump into what I thought about the ceremony, I thought it was really thoughtful about taking our phones away. A lot of times you say, no pictures, no pictures. But we're so used in our behavior as like humans, it's like we probably could have been reading or writing something down. And so I just thought that it was a great idea that you guys took it away. No one balked at it. Like they were like, yeah, we're coming to take phones away. And we're like, all right, here's our phones, no problem. And so I thought kudos to you to decide to do that. I think something that I recommend that folks do, especially when it was such an intimate audience. Right. So the ceremony itself was, again, we knew we were on to something magical, and it was so modern. And what I loved about it was like, it felt like it was a bit of meditation. And then she gave you an opportunity. It was meditation, affirmation, and then she gave you guys an opportunity to do your own vows, which you guys read to each other. And I just thought that it was just so beautiful, and it was so contemporary. I think a lot of times we do things traditional, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it felt real and in today's day. And there was a piece for everyone that was there, either if you were married, if you were single, whatever you were, and even in your journey in relationship, there was a message there for you.
Okay, awesome. I mean, look, he's gonna do what he does. His homies is reaching out to him. I'm just embarrassed
right now. It's like the kid. You're a parent and your kid is acting crazy. This is what's happening right now. He's usually chill and napping, but sorry about that.
It's all good. There's some extra male energy in the house, and he's trying to show who's the boss. It's all good. It's all good. You live here. I get to visit. And so the wedding happens. We have our reception. And the cool thing about at the reception was there was some party favors, right? The party favors. Now, I will apologize, Jackie. You were right. This was a great idea. And yeah, probably not going to hear this from me again. Or maybe other episodes, I'm going to bring it up again. But it was a good idea because I just didn't want us doing too much because it was already spending so much. We had little mason jars, right? And so we had jars in which we wanted, in which the idea was we want everybody to take something back with them. And so tell us what you were able to kind of take back with you.
So I'm known for every country I go to, I always bring trinkets back, something to adorn my home because I love to be able to tell the story. And I don't know if I'm going to ever make it back to that country. I thought this was the most thoughtful gift, not only because it was clear, but it matched, you could put it anywhere. But I was able to take bits and pieces from my trip for the 2 weeks. And so I love this gift because I was able to have sand from the Sahara Desert. I have rocks in here from Janan's house. I have rose pellets from a restaurant that we ate when we were on our way to the desert. Oh, nice. And we actually had camel, which was the most exotic meal, most tender meat that I've had. And then I also have the card of the ribbon that went around it. I put it inside so you can kind of probably read it a little bit, but this was just beautiful. So this is one of my mantelpieces where I have like candles and things of that nature, but I just love this gift. And I got some other things that I got from my trip. I can do a bit of show and tell a little later, but this was just such a thoughtful gift. It didn't cost a lot, but I'll never forget it. I'll never forget what's in here. Oh, awesome. So thank you so much. Thank you, Jackie. I love you.
So, for some of us, our trip continued in Morocco, and yours actually continued on to the desert or sightseeing to the desert, right? Yeah. So what was your next step after leaving Marrakesh?
Yeah, so I left Marrakesh on Saturday and we went to take a trip. We were going to go spend a day. We did a glamping. The goal was to do a glamping in the desert, which we did get to experience. And so what was amazing was that we did sightseeing, which I didn't expect. And not to say that I wouldn't have done it that way again. I would have shortened some of the driving, or just driven straight through to get to the desert and had more time in the desert to do more different activities. But we got an opportunity to go to different cities, spend the night in different hotels. The hotels were beautiful, but it wasn't a city. It was very remote. And again, I guess the business that they made was a business to, because people have to drive at least 2 days to get to the desert. So we did that, but along the way we stopped at waterfalls. We stopped at this beautiful oasis where there was, it was called the gorge. There was a gorge, which was the waterfall. And then there was another area where it was like a river. And on this river, there was just like trees, and it was like 100 miles long. So can you imagine, traveling back in the day, whenever 1400s, wherever the gold rush was, from the East Coast coming to the West Coast, and you're walking and you find in the middle of a desert, this green patch and water, fresh water, not salt water, fresh water. For them, they say they believe it's a miracle. And a lot of people live alongside that river and where those tree patches are. And it's very wide, but it's very long. And it's just plush. So you have rocks and sands on either side. And in the middle, it's just green trees. And that's where they do their vegetation and their gardening. And of course, they live along the side. So we did that. For 2 days, finally sightseeing, was just a little achy. You know, you get a good night's sleep, but you're just achy because you're spending the whole day in the car.
Right.
And then we got to the desert and the Sahara, which was beautiful. It was in the evening. We got to ride camels and got some really cool pictures. They're not comfortable. Yeah.
Tell them about it.
They're not comfortable. People. So if you do it one time, you never have to do it again. Unless you're into horseback riding, but it was just not a very comfortable ride. And so we got to do that. I would have loved an opportunity. I did a different group than the core team did. I wish I would have gotten a chance to get there a little earlier because they had more activity. You could have sandboarded, like snowboarding, but on the sand. You could have taken way more pictures. You could have had not dirt bikes, but the four-wheelers. There was just so much more that you could have done, but we got there late. But we did have an amazing dinner. We had a glamping tent. It was just wonderful. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. At night, they sang music and a fire-lit like little area. So it was just really beautiful.
Okay. And so what was, I mean, you alluded to it a little bit earlier, but what was your like favorite part of the trip? Like you did a 2-week trip.
Yeah.
Right? So,
because we ended in Madrid because, you know, we were like, all right, we're here and we got to do a free leg in Madrid. My favorite had to be the dinner and the wedding. And it's not like, you know, no cap in here. Like, it's not me trying to say that because you're sitting here, but it was the heart of everything. It was, again, it was spiritual, it was festive, it was celebration, it was fun. It had all of the fun elements. And it was the thing that was the most communal with all of the folks that were there. And I think, again, maybe the heart of it was because the people were there. I got to be with a larger group where everything else was on my own and exploring, finding things to go buy and things of that nature. But that was the most amazing part for me.
Okay. And
well done, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We did our best. So with that being said, one of the things that you touched on earlier about your Paris trip is
when you visit a state as big and diverse as Texas, there are a million different trips you can take. Let's say you've got an appetite for whitewater kayaking. You can get your own, so this is why they call it Devil's River, trip to Texas. Or maybe you have an actual appetite. I'll take a pound of brisket, 6 ribs, 3 links of sausage, and a piece of pecan pie. Trip to Texas. Go to traveltexas.com/get-your-own for the only trip to Texas that matters. Yours.
What do 8 bags of concrete mix, a cooler full of 30-pound sea bass, and a 10-inch compound miter saw have in common? They're all things that are easier to load in and out of the bed of the new F-150. Thanks to its new available Pro Access tailgate that's also a swing gate. The new 2024 Ford F-150. Tough this smart can only be called F-150.
Available starting early 2024. Pro Access tailgate available starting spring 2024. Cargo and load capacity limited by weight and weight distribution.
McDonald's made the burger icon, the Big Mac, even more iconic. More Mac sauce, perfectly melted cheese, onions added at the grill. So good your boy's already on the hunt. Yup, it's Hamburglar good. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Available at most restaurants in this area.
like being a Black woman in Paris and, you know, just kind of, you know, you, as well as your background being Haitian, having understood French enough to be able to talk it, like you cover a couple different things, right? So traveling while Black isn't just traveling while Black for you. It's traveling while Black as a woman, right? Traveling while Black as a person that does business, traveling while Black as a person that does leisure. So like, what has your traveling while Black experience been overall? Because it's not just one thing, it's multifaceted, right?
Yeah.
So what has your experience been like?
So it's interesting because I've been traveling since a young age, and I can tell you two trips. So when I travel as a business, you know, I would go to Haiti and I'm buying like hundreds of paintings at a time. And, you know, I have security with me. I'm like, I'm taking this and this. I'm very assertive. I'm also 5'11" and I'm heavy, strong, athletic build. So I don't necessarily feel unsafe in those environments. However, I did have an unsafe moment when I was in Barcelona when I was 30. And I think what makes that interesting is, and even your experience is, there's a difference between traveling as a Black American and as someone of African descent. And I think the way that we treat, and I'm sorry to be political here, but the way that we treat Mexicans is the way that Black or Africans are treated in Europe. You know, there's a lot of discrimination against that. And so sometimes when I'm in Europe, when I open my mouth, I speak English, then they're like, oh, like, especially if I have braids, you know, they're not sure of, you know, where, you know, or my color, my complexion. And so traveling in Europe is very different as a Black woman. Sometimes there's this assumption, or it's like a little bit of a tension, but I don't necessarily believe that all interactions are racist. I'm going to say that. And, you know, I've traveled to over 20 countries. I think it's just a miscommunication of expectations and culture. Okay. You know, I think if you go to Germany, if you've ever been to Boston or New York City, people will bump you and not say, and keep moving and not say, excuse me, I apologize. Right. And so Germany is they're not talkative, right? They're not friendly. They're direct. They're not
American nice. That's how they put it.
Yeah, not American nice. I think there's this elitist expectations and air that sometimes Americans bring with them. And they've created stereotypes in Paris, right? So people talk about that Paris is really nasty. You're coming into a country that has some of the best foods, I mean, in my opinion, right? And some of the best experiences, and you're demanding certain foods to be prepared a certain way. And they're very proud of their culture, or you're demanding something to be done a certain way. And people sometimes are taken aback when they hear a no, or, you know, whatever the case may be. And so that's been my experience there. I do remember I had one negative experience where I was in Barcelona that I was trying to hint to, but I wanted to give that caveat first, where, to your point, as a woman, I did feel a little unsafe. And I think, you know, some cities do have, you know, prostitution and things of that nature. And I remember someone grabbing my arm, come with me. And I was just like, you know, get off me. And I had to make a loud noise and a little commotion. And, you know, that was one time. I don't think that's ever happened again. I've gone to, you know, to South America, and I don't think that really happens. But you have to be vigilant. And I think, you know, you read a lot of things in the paper about certain countries. Don't go to Mexico, you know, the cartel. I've always wanted to go, but I've let that scare me from going and doing a solo trip. I've done dozens of solo trips. I think it's something to be cognizant of, but I don't think it's something you should allow to paralyze you. I think there's a thing called common sense.
That part.
You know, and so just having some common sense and knowing where you're going, knowing how you're going to get back, you know, having your money, making sure your phone has a battery charge, turning your flashlight on, you know, just things that you would do here in America. You want to do there. You don't want to be, you know, blindsided and just think you're just safe. So that's my experience as a Black American and as a woman. And that intersection, to your point, is very interesting.
Okay. And so, like, right now, as we're transitioning into new norm, right? So flying out here, no mask on the plane, no mask in the airport.
Out here to California.
Out here to California. So I'm on site, California, right? Like, how have you started transitioning your life? Because keep in mind, prior to the pandemic, you were working for Netflix.
Yeah.
Right? Now you're spooky fresh, crypto flossing, ebook, you know, business has been changing for you, but how is life changing to, let's say, a new normal for you?
Yeah, it's interesting. So, you know, I was hoping that I'd be doing more traveling, and that hasn't quite happened. And I don't know if it's because of Bo or because I have a lot of work business trips that are happening. So I have to balance how much time I'm leaving and going. I was lucky. So I'll say one thing. I didn't get COVID until one of my last conferences like 2 or 3 months ago.
Oh, wow.
So I was lucky. I didn't have COVID for 2 years, and I go to a conference. I'm not going to say which one. And I got COVID. I was so upset. And so I still have, while I probably have the antibiotics, I've still been vigilant because it took me out for like a couple of days. It took me out for 3 days. And then I was like somewhat back to normal, but I had a bad cough for a while. So I'm still wearing my mask. I just came back from a trip to Philly, so I'm still wearing my mask. I think what's making travel harder for me than it used to be was, I think because I have a dog and it's not easy to leave him, and it's not like I'm leaving him in a kennel. He needs a lot of love. Or maybe I just spoiled him, but either or. So that's one. But I think also too, just, it's not, outside is expensive now.
Everybody's out.
I just booked a trip, and I was trying to book it earlier. I'm going to New York to speak at 2 conferences, and they're compensated me portion of it, but it was $800. You could go to New York for $300.
LA to here was almost $1,000. Atlanta to here was almost $1,000.
Yeah, that's a lot when you could have used to be able to do 2 or 3 trips for that. So I think it's just being really thoughtful. I don't think it's about picking up and going anymore. I think they're just, like, I used to be so carefree about flying. Like, I could fly 2 days. Hey, we're going to this party or whatever. This event's happening. Things were inexpensive. Like, you want to go? Yeah. But I think now you're being very thoughtful. I think we're also on the brinks of a recession coming. And we know that inflation is here and things are a little bit more expensive. And so people are being more thoughtful, and including myself, on, where I'm going, what am I doing with my money and my funds. Okay.
So speaking about funds and how you spend your money, I didn't touch on the market, the square at the Medina, right?
Oh.
And this is just going back to the trip of Morocco. And this goes back to you like to bring trinkets, right? So tell them about, and not just, you'll experience this when you go to Egypt. There's the bazaar, and you'll literally have to haggle for everything. So tell them about your experience at the Medina and shopping.
Oh my gosh.
Like, just dealing with the people out there.
I'm glad you brought it up because I think it's an experience. So the Medina is a market, and it's a market that is 24 hours. So you can go in the morning and there's shopping. You can go in the evening. At night, there's like a party. Like, it's not even just shopping. It's shopping and a party. And so I got a chance to shop. I bought some souvenirs back. I actually want to show you some things I bought. But look, I'll tell you the Medina first. So the Medina, what you can have done there. At night, you can get fresh juices. You can get henna tattoos. You're gonna see snake charmers. You're gonna see dancing in the open yard area. There are restaurants. That have that look down onto rooftop, look down onto the marketplace. It's just gorgeous. People are beautifully adorned. There's contemporary. There's street shoppers. There's everything there. And it was just a beautiful experience. And then depending on what time of day, you can hear the calls for prayer. It was just a beautiful experience. But I got to shop and I bought some clothes, but I did buy some trinkets, and I just want to show you this. So one of the things, I actually got this in the desert. I'm a Delta, and so we collect elephants. And so I got this beautiful elephant. Which is great. We talked a little bit about the food. So one of my favorite meals was that camel, and it made in a tagine. And so people were like, what are tagines? And so I wanted to kind of show you that. So the tagine is this clay pot that can take up to really hot heat. And you put the meat, you put your vegetables in there, and it's just amazing food, and it steams it. I actually got this as a gift from a friend here, but I wanted to kind of show you. I bought a smaller version because my apartment you can't really see, is blue. So I bought a small version to kind of show that. And then the biggest piece that I got, and not that it was from Morocco specifically, but it was purchased in Morocco. I got this African piece, and it's beaded. And like I said, blue is the color of my apartment. And I just felt like, again, if I'm going to go home, I want to bring a piece of home back with me. And so this was the piece of usually not as big, but very beautiful. I forget what tribe. I think it's Kenyan, and they do beat it, and it's clay, and it's really heavy. But it tells a story of people and culture. And again, I just want us to always try to bring a piece of art and culture with me back home.
Ooh, awesome. And as y'all can see, that one of the main reasons why we're sitting where we're sitting is she literally has curated her house to be an art gallery. And then behind us, you see these. Is this all by the same artist or multiple artists?
So this is by a gallery called Rush Arts Gallery. Danny Simmons, the brother of Russell Simmons, they have it used to be a contemporary arts gallery that showed emerging artists. And in celebration of their 30th anniversary of being in business, they created a box collection, and they invited 30 artists to contribute a piece, which they sold. So I think they showed 120 of them, and it's 30 each. I didn't hang all 30, but it has some of the most prolific Black American, or Black, I should say, they're not all American, but Black artists in today's day, contemporary day. And so, yeah, it's a black and white. I decided to hang it on this wall. I selected the ones that I thought was really exciting, and I decided where I wanted pieces to be in the center, because I wanted a story to be told. So Rush Arts, I think they still might have some available. They're based in Philadelphia now.
So I typically don't ask this as a question. So like, as an art enthusiast curator, like, what are like 3 things people should look at when they are looking into buying art? Because, Jay-Z put it out there, getting your Basquiat's, getting your, big name pieces. But for those of us that don't have Jay-Z kind of money, what are some things that we should look into a piece if we want to purchase it?
Yeah, I love your question in terms of purchasing art and not investing. I think there's 2 different things when people are buying art, and some people like to buy to invest. And I say, buy what you love. Because if you bought what you love and you bought it for the right reasons, it will be a great investment. And so for me, there are 3 things I say that you want to know that you're getting a quality piece. 1, you want to look at the painting and make sure you love it. A lot of times people say, I don't get art. No, it's not that you don't get it. It's that you don't like it. And that's okay, right? A lot of times we go to museums and we see these prairies and rolling hills. That's not our culture. That's not our story. And so you want to buy something that that strikes you and that you love. Okay. Number 1, hands down. Number 2, you want to look at the piece and you want to see the quality. Like, is it sloppy? Did they take a lot of time to create it? Is it thoughtfully created? You want to is this going to last me 10, 15, 20 years? You don't want to pay $1,000 for something and it doesn't last, or even $100. You want something that is quality done, quality framed. It looks good. It looks more than they're asking of what they're asking for. You want to feel like you've gotten a deal and that you didn't waste your money. The third thing is, I think it's important that we support, emerging, contemporary, underrepresented, specifically artists. So I believe, some of the best art is buying artists from living artists that are alive, buying artists that are women, people of color, people that are telling a story with their art. I think there's an amazing opportunity that art is being sold on social media now. It's coming directly to you, but you want to make sure you're trying to, I don't want to say not, I would love for everyone to get art, but I would love for you to buy it from the artist and not buying it from like this dealer where sometimes they're doing open edition prints, which has no value. It's a print. And I don't want to get too far into that, but if you want to really buy art, you buy it from the artist, buy original art, buy art. If it's not original, it's in a print, make sure it's a limited edition. And I'll just stop there. If they want more information, feel free to hit me up. I have a 1-pager that I can send them that guides them to how to buy art. And I have an ebook that tells you how to buy NFTs, but that's another story.
Okay. Listen, I'm trying to make sure people can, I got you and get all the thoughts out your brain. And so now, tips, as far as travel tips, give us 3 tips, 3 to 5 if you can.
Okay.
Because the people that is geared towards is people that are already traveling, people that are interested in traveling,
okay,
and people that are just looking for different ways to travel.
Yeah. All right. So 5 tips. 1, you want to just book your trip and you want to pick a country and give yourself as much time, but parcel it out. So if you need to just book your plane ticket, then you book your airline, and then you figure out your activities. One of the great things to helping you figure out your activities, there are a lot of groups, Travel Noir, Black Travelers on Facebook where you can travel where there are already itineraries. And so you want to have a rough idea of what you want to do, especially if you're a solo traveler. So I just say pick your country and then build out your itinerary after you've paid for things. Don't try to do your itinerary first, and then, because then you'll never go and things will get expensive. So just do it, find a community and find an itinerary that has already been laid out. 2, you want to figure out ways to say hello in that country's nation, or in that country, some keywords. Maybe even if you have it written down, there's some apps now that allow you. I think for us that are traveling, especially traveling to uncharted territories and that are going to exotic locations, you want to be able to communicate in a way and just appreciate the culture. I think it just goes a long way to just be able to walk in and say hello, in that nation's country or the country that you're traveling. Number 3, I always like to hack it. I love to get 2 or 3 trips out of a trip if I can, especially if I'm going really far, because you just never know if you're going to get back there. And so I always try to, if I can do a layover, 2 days, 3 days. I even squeezed in Sweden when I took my mom. We just did a day trip. And there was just a long layover. There was a short one and there was a long one. I took the long one and we just got on one of the buses, the tour buses, and we rode around, had lunch, and then we came back. And
that's another hack. Hop on, hop off buses are a sure hack to see any major city that you're going to overseas.
Yeah.
Because 1, they take you to all the main sites. And then 2, there's an audio description of each location.
Exactly.
So you learning the history of the town as well as the different locations.
Yeah, I that was the best. And then I think number 4 is, leave all your preconceived notions at home. This is more of a mindset tip. Right? And really be open to immersing yourself in their food, in their culture. We didn't get to talk about street food and eating in that nature, some of those things, but you want to try to be adventurous, immerse yourself into the culture. I think there's something really amazing to have these unique experiences, especially if you're traveling really far. And I guess the bonus to that is don't be cheap about it.
Yeah. Listen.
Don't be cheap about it. Just
budget. You can to your point is when I travel, I try to spend as much as $100 a day at minimum, right? For if I'm going out for a week, all right, it's a week's worth of money because quite honestly, $100 goes a long way.
Yeah.
You go to Africa, $100 will probably buy you could buy the bar, in certain places. And so I just look at it as, all right, I'm going to save my money. I'm going to budget and I'm going to save. And when I get there, I don't want to miss an excursion because of money. Yeah. I don't want to miss an experience because of money. So I definitely understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So those are, and part of the budgeting is thinking about different currencies, making sure you get a credit card that has some transaction fees that you can pull out cash if you need to. That's it. Everything else is really just get out and go and explore.
Yeah. And, to her budget thing is, if you can, and if you're able to, you could open up a savings account, have your employer directly deposit into what I call a travel fund. I don't see it. It just goes straight there. And then whenever I need it, I just take it out and then pay for my trips.
Yeah.
Because you don't realize how not having to move that money around physically or yourself.
That's a great hack.
Goes a long way because I'll look up and I'm like, oh, there's 2 trips worth of money in there. Or I surprised my wife with a trip somewhere. So it's super dope.
I have a question for you. How much do you budget? You said 2 trips. So how much do you budget for your trip?
So right now I'm looking at $1,600 a month towards savings. So within 2 months, I got $3,200. So that's I can go almost anywhere with that.
Yeah. And is that 1 trip or 2?
That's 2 trips. So Honestly, on $1,600 alone, I can probably get us a trip to the Caribbean for like a couple days.
Yeah.
It all depends on how you spend. Like, Jackie doesn't like layovers, but she doesn't like layovers because she doesn't like sitting around. She's now acknowledging layovers as I get to see another country.
Yeah.
Because before it was like I'm sitting for 2-3 hours before I get on to the next flight. Whereas, like you said, the hack is find you a 19 to 20 hour layover where it makes sense to leave the airport. And then you kind of get to see the area.
Yeah.
Those layover trips are usually cheaper than a direct flight. Mm-hmm. And so, a direct flight to a direct flight anywhere is usually more expensive because it's like a straight point. It's weird how the airlines save you money by you just stopping off somewhere else.
Yeah.
So for me, like $3,200 can give me 2 trips or one really nice trip for 2 people.
Yeah.
So it really depends on like your budget and how you plan on moving around.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I really appreciate you for jumping on and doing this. Tell people what you got. I know you mentioned it earlier, but tell people what you got going on and, where can they find more information about art, crypto, Web3, and just, crypto flossing all together.
Yeah. So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to talk about my experience and travel and a little bit about Web3. Not that I expected to talk about that. They say, we need to kind of celebrate babies the way that and celebrate businesses the same way and shower our friends. So I appreciate that opportunity. So if you want to connect with me, I love connecting with people. I love to hear what problems you're solving in the world and how I can support that. Find me on LinkedIn or find me at cryptoflossing.com. All my socials will be there and you can connect with me there. I'm excited and I'm humbled that I've been able to codify and really document what it is to be in the NFT and Web3 space and for folks to navigate. I think I get a lot of people asking me, what is Web3? My ebook answers that. Hey, how do I start an NFT project? My book answers that. Hey, I work in finance. How will I be impacted? My book answers that. So I ask people, I'd love for your support, but if you just want to be about you and get something out of this, I invite you to buy my ebook. It'll be out in July. And I'm going to have a collection. I have art. I do so many wonderful things. But at the end of the day, I'm looking forward to just connecting with you.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you. And once again, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, click that notification bell so you guys know when new episodes drop. And with that said, travel more, stay safe. Peace.
When you visit a state as big and diverse as Texas, there are a million different trips you can take. Let's say you've got an appetite for whitewater kayaking. You can get your own, so this is why they call it Devil's River, trip to Texas. Or maybe you have an actual appetite. I'll take a pound of brisket, 6 ribs, 3 links of sausage, and a piece of pecan pie. Trip to Texas. Go to traveltexas.com/get your own for the only trip to Texas that matters. Yours.
Whatever job you need to do out there, grab the right tool to get it done. The new F-150 with an available hybrid engine and up to 7.2 kilowatts of Pro Power on board to power things on the go. It's not a tool you'll hang in a tool shed, but you can certainly use it to build one. The new 2024 Ford F-150. Tough this smart can only be called F-150.
Available starting early 2024. Optional features, the owner's manual for important operating instructions.
Have you heard? McDonald's, the burger OG, took their classic burgers back to the kitchen and they've come out hotter, juicier, and tastier. Onions added at the grill, perfectly melted cheese. Plus, the burger icon, the Big Mac, now has more Mac sauce. Just how good are these burgers? Rubble. Yep, they're so good they got the Hamburglar's attention. Better get down there before he eats them all. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Available at most restaurants in this area.